Okay, we're getting lots of views. Is that what you're saying? You're seeing, Benjamin?
I saw over like 4 dozen views on our last video.
It's like over 48 views.
It's a lot of bagels.
It's Yitzi just watching over and over. Yitzi points out, I sent you some emails. Yitzi points out like your facial expressions that I miss when I'm learning.
Which means he's not just listening on 2x like on the
Right.
background. He's like
He's probably
delving
listening
in.
slow even. Probably like 0.5.
Yeah, he like saw the musser out of your chasidus. Wow, like amazing.
Yeah. We love it. We love it. There are probably other people listening.
He's bringing out the best within us that we didn't even know existed.
Maybe we should send him a nice gift.
Maybe.
A platter from O Nuts. Or a safer. I think he'd appreciate a safer more.
Okay.
Okay, so I started learning a little bit because we were in the middle of...
Oh, right. I did not do that, but...
No, but I'm going to take us through it. Okay, so we're in the middle of Yod Gimel Amud Aleph and Yoma, and we said that if we're worried about the Mishnah is worried about a woman who dies, then we prepare a second wife so that he's not marriageless on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Godel. Umi sagila b'sekanta, but does the mere preparing of another woman suffice? Beisa imachmana. After all, the Torah says his household, v'halav beisahi, whereas this woman who is not yet married is not his household, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the first one dies, he's not going to be married. And for the Gemara, he betroths her. But as long as he does not marry her, she's not called his household. They're only doing the first step of the marriage. In fact, no, he marries her for Yom Kippur. You're going to have two households, two wives.
What's the problem with two households?
It doesn't say plural, it says one house. So if you have two wives, you're not that won't work. No, after he marries her, divorces her, so it's only one. In fact, the Gemara, if he divorces her, hadra kushan leduchta, our original difficulty comes to place. He's only married to one, she dies, the second one is already divorced, now he has no wife at all. And for the Gemara, no, we need it. The megarshla al tnai, that he divorces her conditionally. The Amar la, he says to her, hareza gitach almanas. This is your get on condition. We're going to leave out the brackets for now. But because he makes it conditional, whatever that condition is, he's able to figure out a way that at any point he's only married to one. The dimala masya, but perhaps if you're going to say that the condition is
Almanas,
but that the second one dies.
Like if we just define who first and second. I mean, there's the original wife.
The original wife.
His real zivug.
Right.
Married, he has a bunch of kids with. And then there's this, step-in lady.
So we need the brackets. So this second one, who we call the divorced wife, even though essentially it's not.
She's the temp?
She's the backup.
Okay.
So imagine he says to her, this is your get on condition that you die. So whatever that means, the divorce will only go through should the recipient of the get die, at which time it will take effect retroactively from the time the get was delivered. Let's not read too much into it, but if she dies, the get will be chal beforehand. And this way she either dies.
Okay, so we're not thinking about the other situation that might happen, which is that the first wife.
And Rashi addresses that in that the Gemara doesn't like...
They both stay alive.
Yeah, the Gemara, it's just giving like possible suggestions without going too deep.
Yeah, I know.
There's a Rashi that discusses that. So it is your get on condition if you die. So if you die, the get is chalama freya, and you're clear, and you've only married one wife. And in fact, the Gemara, an easy question.
What's
The dilma masya, but perhaps the divorced wife doesn't die, and the first wife also doesn't die. Now you have two households.
That's our original question. So okay.
Yeah, you're back to the original question. Like that's a bad condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the Gemara, El Amar La, rather he says, "This is your get on condition that you do not die." Eloi Maisa, if she doesn't die, Migarishla, then she's divorced. By Mesaha, and if the divorced wife dies, Kaimelach, there's still the other divorced wife that remains. So that's a better condition. That sounds good. If the second wife dies, then she's dead. There's only one wife. If she doesn't die, then you'll be divorced.
She's divorced. But what if the original wife dies? Sorry. Yeah. If the original wife dies.
Oh, that's the Gemara's next question. So, Vidil Mohila Mesa, but perhaps the divorced wife will not die. This will satisfy the terms of divorce, and so that her get will be a valid get. But what happens? Umaisa Chavarta, and then perhaps her fellow wife will die, become labelay bias. So now the get was chal because she didn't die, the second one, and the first one died. Now he has no household.
I want to guess what the answer is. Maybe the Tanai is I'm gonna ask that you don't die and that the other wife doesn't die.
Close. I mean, I didn't get to all the way further, but you're on the right track. Elad Amrla, rather he says to her, Almanas Shetamas Achas Mikem. This is your get on condition that one of you die before the end of Yom Kippur. Maisah Kamaisah. If the divorced wife dies, then the undivorced wife remains. Right? He says the get is on condition that one of you die before the end of Yom Kippur. So if the divorced wife dies, which is the temp, then the undivorced wife remains.
And the original
and
wife,
if the undivorced wife dies, then the divorced wife remains, and he may also serve.
The original dies, and the divorced wife remains.
He's saying this is your get to the second one.
So then why does she remain?
Hold on. This is your get on condition that one of you die. This is your get who? The second one.
Yeah.
That one of you die. If the divorced wife dies, if the second wife dies,
someone died, then
the
it should
first
be a good
one.
get.
If the undivorced wife dies, then the divorced wife remains. Meaning in this case...
Why? If the undivorced wife dies, which means if the original wife dies, the Tanai was that this is your get on condition that one of you died before the end of Kippur. And if one of them died, which in this case is the original wife, right, the undivorced, the original, then why does it say the divorced wife remains and he may also serve? She's not remaining.
Right, she would be divorced.
The get should be chal.
The Gemara, this seems difficult according to our text, where if the undivorced wife dies, then divorce will go through, since it was given on condition that either wife will die, and he will be left without all. So therefore, that's why Hagayas Reb Simcha of Dessau, he strikes the words of Achas Mikem.
Oh,
that's not one of you.
So let's read it again. El Amar La Amanasha Tamos.
This is your get on the condition that
you die before Yom Kippur. That you die. So
that who dies?
The temp. What are we calling her?
The second one.
Yeah, the step-in wife.
And if the second one dies, then she's dead, and he's good. And if she doesn't die, then the get's chal.
Yeah, exactly.
So that kind of works.
That works.
Right.
Why the get? Here's your get amanas. That you temp die. If she dies...
Yeah, but if she doesn't die, then he has two wives.
Then he has two wives. So they're only saying...
So that's what the Gemara's next question is. I guess the Gemara doesn't go too deep.
The
Gemara's like this. That's the solution. But the solution by itself doesn't stand.
Yeah.
We're right on to the next question. But perhaps neither of them will die. And consequently, the condition of the divorce will not be met.
Yeah.
Yeah. The oid, we're going to just try to get... I really want to get past this to this over here.
I see Ella. We go to Elda Magarish.
Yeah, exactly. And furthermore, ki hai gavnik mi havagita is such a get given on condition that the recipient died by a certain date, really a valid get at all. I v'hamarava hareza gitach almanash le tishtiyayin. If a man gives his wife a get and says, this is your get on the condition that you do not drink wine, if he says that condition applies all the days of my life or all the days of your life, this is not a valid severance. But if the condition was that she does not drink wine all the days of Pliny, this is a valid severance. Similarly, where he divorced her on condition that she died before the end of the Kippur, the condition must by definition remain unfulfilled during her entire lifetime, and therefore it is not a valid severance. Holistically, if I had to type this up, when the subject of the condition is either him or her, it's not chal.
Because you don't know. I think it's because, since it is, I think note 23 sums that part. Since it is possible for her to be free of the condition during her lifetime, should she outlive so-and-so, it is considered a valid severance and the get is valid immediately. She may not, however, remarry until so-and-so dies, lest she drink wine before then and retroactively nullify the divorce. Sorry, what were you saying? I thought it would actually go. Maybe we should do 22. 22?
Yeah, go.
The Torah describes a get as safer krisos. Did we do Gittin together at all? I feel like we did a little.
We did?
Maybe when we were talking about Naziris, I don't know. Hence, in order to be valid, it must totally sever, or it's a document of severance, so it must totally sever the bond between husband and wife. Where the divorce was given on condition that the wife not drink wine for the rest of her life, it gives the husband a permanent hold over her, in that for the rest of her life she cannot drink wine without retroactively nullifying the divorce. Such divorce does not affect severance, for she is bound to him in some way until the day she dies. Consequently, it is not valid. Okay? So we want to compare that to our case, right? In such that, what are we saying? If someone gives a get on condition that the recipient die by a certain date, right? What did he say in our case? He's saying to the second wife, "Hurry, Gittin, I'm gonna ask that you die." Right? Now, this and here condition that you do not drink wine. So if he says the condition applies all the days of his life, so long as he's alive, she's not allowed to drink wine. That's not a crisis because they're still connected. Because it would.
Why are they still connected?
Because if she decides one day to drink, 3 years after her divorce, she drinks wine, it's going to come out that the get was not a good get because it didn't fulfill its condition.
Oh, you can't have some connection. Your condition can have some connection to the bond.
Right.
Meaning the bond has to be fully severed.
Right.
This is your get on condition that you do not drink wine. Oh, now I understand it. It's like, whoa, okay, you're giving me a get, but then I can't do something? Like, either I'm with you or against you.
Right.
So over here, in our case, if he says to her, this is your get on the condition that you die before the end of Yom Kippur, the condition, by definition, remains unfulfilled during her lifetime, and therefore it's not. Why? Once Yom Kippur passes, it's over.
Let me think about that, right? Because he's saying, he said before Yom Kippur.
Oh, Taisus asked my question. No 4024. Taisus questions this on the grounds that the get in the case at hand was given on condition that either wife will die before Yom Kippur. Oh, maybe either. Therefore, should the undivorced wife die, the conditional divorce would be satisfied during the divorced wife's lifetime. And the get, that's because he says either wife. And it should be a valid severance. Torah's Gittin responds that since the other wife did not in fact die, it emerges that the get's validity hinged entirely on the divorced wife's death and is therefore not a valid severance. But still, my question is, in this case, it's saying, this is your get on the condition that you die before the end of Yom Kippur. Divorces her on the condition that she died before the end of Yom Kippur. The condition must by definition remain unfulfilled during her lifetime and is therefore not a valid severance.
Because she's basically not allowed to die. Right?
Because what happens if she dies? Then the get's chal?
Then the get's chal. So,
but there's a time limit on it. It's not like forever. He's just saying until Yom Kippur.
Yeah, okay, it's like this. There's a condition on the get that is tied to her lifetime.
Because
that's literally what the condition is. It's as long as you're alive, we're married. If you die on Yom Kippur, this is a divorce. Therefore, there's a get with a t'nai tied to her
full life.
Her life, yeah.
Like her entire life.
Her entire life. And we saw in Gemara that if you have any type of stipulation
that
tied to either the husband's lifetime or her within her lifetime. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so it's not about the time, it's about the fact that it's chal tied to the entire life. Okay.
Right, there's a stipulation that's on her and during her entire lifetime.
Right. Rather, he says to her, this is your get on condition that your fellow wife does not die. It's the other one. So he's saying you, the second one, this is your get on condition that so-and-so does not die. If her fellow if her fellow wife, the first wife, does not die, she's divorced. And if the undivorced wife dies, then the condition of the divorce is not met and the divorced wife remains.
Wait, this one actually sounds like it could work.
And if the undivorced wife dies, that's the first wife, then the conditions of the divorce is not met. And hold on. So this is your get on condition that your fellow wife does not die.
Could we give them names?
Yeah, Rachel and Leah.
Rachel's the original.
Rachel's the original.
OG Rachel.
This is your get on condition that Rachel doesn't die. So if Rachel doesn't die, she is divorced. Right, because that's the actual stipulation.
And that actually sounds good. So you're going to only have one bias.
Right.
Rachel will be alive. Avoid is good, one bias, and Leah is now divorced.
Right, and if Leah dies,
if Leah dies, she's dead.
Then she's dead, and then the only one that remains.
The whole stipulation is Rachel. And it's good also.
I like that.
If Rachel is alive, then Leah's divorced.
But Vidilma Maisa Chaverte Palga Davaida, but perhaps her fellow wife, Rachel, will die in the middle of the Yom Kippur service. The Igla Milsa, and so that it will be revealed, Lemafreya Tikitaha Lav Gitahu, that this one's get was not a get, and that it will then emerge, it will then emerge that it will perform parts of the service with two households.
Yeah, because in the beginning of the Avodah, she's alive. So she's alive, and that means that the get didn't go through. So you have two biases. When she ends up dying in the middle of the Avodah, it's going to come out that he had, at the beginning of the Avodah, two bases.
Meaning, if she dies before the Avodah Rachel, then Leah's good.
Right.
If Leah dies, then it's Rachel.
Right.
But when Yom Kippur starts...
And then she dies mid-Avodah. Yeah, I don't know how you're ever going to get past this mid-Avodah problem.
Right, because if Rachel dies mid-Avodah, then you're like, oh, okay, she's dead, so now the get is not Chal, and I'm married to this person.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the case,
at the beginning of the Avodah, during the first 5 minutes of that Avodah, Rachel was part of a bias. Leah was now.
You say this is your get on condition that your fellow wife does not die by the time the Avodah starts.
So just speak that out, which means that
this is your get on condition that Rachel doesn't die by the first second Avodah starts.
Okay, but now
that Avodah starts, Rachel dies. He doesn't have a.
That's the problem.
I'm trying my best here.
Meaning that means then you have the other side. That means at the end of the Avodah, he doesn't have any wife.
Correct.
We need him to have a wife. So Ella, the Amarla, it's trying very hard here.
This is your get.
On
condition that you're that.
Hey Leah, this is your get.
Wow. It's okay.
Sorry, did I bang there?
No, it's gosh, this is your get on the condition that your fellow wife dies. This is your get, Leah's get, on condition that your fellow wife dies.
Rachel dies.
Huh?
I'm not sure. Yeah, no. I feel like we're going backwards here.
But then he has no wives. If the divorced wife dies, then the undivorced wife will remain, and the Kohen Godel will be able to serve.
Let's just go to the answer.
How does that work? If the divorced wife dies, then the undivorced wife will remain. No.
It takes care of the problem that he doesn't have two wives at the same time, but it doesn't take care of the problem that there's no wives.
No, this is your get on condition that your fellow wife dies. If Rachel dies,
that means
divorced.
Leah's divorced, and then there's
no wife. What's even? I don't even understand the Havaminus in these cases.
Don't even think through it.
But perhaps her fellow wife, the undivorced wife, will die, and thus her get.
Her get will be a valid get, but come boy bias.
And come bias, yeah.
We thought this already, yeah. So
having failed to arrive at a satisfactory solution involving one get, the Gemara turns to a solution involving two Gittin, which I can understand with the right stipulations and all that. I am going to Camp Romu. the start of. I'm taking my son. We're going to White House.
Best
and
camp of the Mennonites
You were there.
for 1/2 in 3rd grade.
Nice.
I was a Na'arim boy.
Naram still around.
I think it's Bunim now.
Bonim, Ellie Weiss. So going tonight to White House, Mitzvah Hashem. Today, what's today's date? July 1st, 2024. Nehemiah is going into 9th grade. He's an Elyon. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to drop him off in camp.
Nice.
Hashem. Then I'm coming back. Maybe we'll be able to learn tomorrow night.
Okay. Shout out my nephew's also going into 9th grade.
Ami?
Ami's actually, who ran the canteen the last few years, is not going back to Rome Mill.
Where's he going?
He'll be going, he's in Israel now. He's finishing his 1st year. He's going to go to Camp Simcha, special.
Uh-huh.
So he'll be there for 2 weeks.
What's your son?
But my
your
other nephew is Tzvi Reichman from Muncie.
He's going to Roma?
He's going to
Coming
Rome.
out of what grade?
He's coming out of 8th grade.
Oh, wow. Same
Same.
age. Okay, peace out. Safe summer, everyone.